Thank you, everyone, for joining us today, this lovely November morning. And just wanted to welcome everyone who is here with us today. So who's got some full tummies with the donuts in their tummies? Everybody? Yeah, okay. Everybody's still waking, no worries. Anyway, good morning. And today we will be sharing some updates from the PAC as well as having some contributors from IMSA share updates and answer questions that you might have. So with that, we'll get the meeting started. So the agenda for today is we'll have Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson share some updates from the principal's office, and then we'll have some PAC executive committee member updates, and then updates from the PAC committees, and then contributions from IMSA administration staff and faculty. So Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson, are you on the call? So not sure if she's joined yet, but we can come back to her as soon as she joins the call. Okay, so we'll move on to the executive committee member updates. So as far as my updates go, you'll see at the bottom of our slides that we have some updated email addresses. So you will see that for the entire team. So we will be sharing those updates as well with everyone as to the updated emails addresses. And we will also have an updated website rolling out very soon, which will give you a lot more information. So expect an email to come out in the next week or two with that updated website. Okay, and we do have a new member of our board, which we will share in a few minutes. So wanted to also share again, if you're interested in volunteering for any of the committees on PAC, it's not too late. As you can see, we've been doing a lot this past year, and there are more things to come this coming year. So if you're still interested in being involved, we welcome you to join. And all you have to do is fill out this form. We'll be sending out this information this week along with the recording of this meeting. So just a reminder that this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with parents this week. Okay, next, I'd like to introduce to you our secretary, Rakesh Dugirala.
Yes,
Okay, great. So Rakesh, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Sure, thanks everybody. Excited to see actually a lot of people in person, and for some of you, we've met before. But thank you, Maria and Kyle and others for giving me the opportunity to be a part of this, I think, awesome mission. Hope to contribute in a small way. I live in Palatine. My wife, Harita, and our son, Avia, is a sophomore this year, so we have one. And so, I guess in terms of the hobbies, some of these, actually, a lot of these are picked up during the pandemic. Biking and, woodworking is something I picked on recently. So just a budding chef maybe there also. But I do travel quite a bit for work. I already used to. We'll see post-pandemic how things are. So, but anyway, thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Wonderful. We are so glad to have you joining the PAC this year. So we're going to move back to Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson because we see that she is now on the call. So Dr. Comfort, would you like to give some updates?
Can everyone hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Sorry about that. All right. So I have a few updates. Of course, my colleague, Ms. Katie Berger, is here with me. So there's some things that we will make sure that we convey some information to you together. So I want to start out by just reminding you all that we have a strategies grade notification email that goes out weekly now. This is a new routine to families whose students have one or more at-risk grades. And when we talk about at-risk grades, we're defining it as having a C or D that have been at risk for like multiple weeks during the semester. So very importantly, I would like for everyone to note that EMSA is monitoring and supporting students continuously. So at-risk email, the at-risk email is not in lieu of supporting students, but rather serves to remind parents of the at-risk grades and provide a list of ways that parents can actually partner with us in supporting students. So that's super, super important. I also would like to mention that the Q2 ends in actually, I think we have about 5 full weeks remaining. So please continue to encourage students to do their best. We are doing whatever we can to make sure that they are doing their best also. I know that, you know, some of them are struggling with some courses. Another important reminder is that for students who are unable to participate in person, so in face-to-face instruction for whatever reason, should a student fall under that category, which could be for a variety of different reasons, students and parents should be sure to check the interim comments in PowerSchool, because teachers put instructions in there on each course. So plans are tailored to the needs of the student and the goals of the course. So each plan does not necessarily include a Zoom link to join the class. So it depends on what's going on with the students. We have situations where a student is sick and cannot even sit up. And so we don't automatically just send them a Zoom link. I've had situations where parents were not happy because we did not send a Zoom link. I just want to assure you, we make those plans based on the student's needs. So we're making sure that the student can participate, even if they're home, they can participate in learning, if they're able to, because we also understand that in some instances, they're not able to. Inner session, I got some questions about inner session. I had mentioned to you all some time back that inner session is going to be virtual. So the proposal, actually the proposal call for proposal has been extended to this Sunday at 11:59 p.m. We got some input that people needed some extension, so we did that. More information, of course, on the accepted proposals and the catalog of sessions will be coming before Thanksgiving break. Multiple emails had been sent out about inner session to parents. The most recent actually went out on Thursday, November 11th. So if you have additional questions, be sure to send those to the principal's office. Mr. Gazak is actually the one who would respond to you if you have questions related to that. Top driver, I continue to get emails about the top driver. Please, please do not call Murder or the principal's office, as we do not have information. We only provide space and send communications for the top driver. So if you have any issues with them, please call top driver. We don't, they're not on campus. They don't, you know, work with EMSA in a way that we know actually what they're doing. We just provide that information to you. So, but of course, if you're having a hard time and you just need to, you know, let us know what's going on, please feel free to do that. But calling our office, we cannot help because they do all of their stuff. So they're responsible for all of the anything that's related to top driver. Senior diploma verification forms will be coming to you in December. So be on the lookout for that email. I also received questions about busing, and my colleague, Ms. Berger, would be addressing that, I think, in her remarks. So are they any other, I mean, if there are any other questions that you have, I'll be here. So feel free to ask those questions. I'll be more than happy to do my best to respond to your questions. That's it for me.
So we'd like to open it up for questions for Dr. Comfort Akwaji Anderson. If there's any questions for her from
Great.
anybody in person, or if you have any that you'd like to put in the chat.
Uh, Dr. Comfort, this is Piyush.
Hi.
Is- Hi. Is there any plans to have parent teachers meeting for students' developments, like the way the other high schools or the other middle schools do in Illinois?
I'm not sure that I quite understand your question.
Okay.
Um,
Is that so in other high schools or in other middle schools, we have one-on-one parent teachers meeting?
mhm.
So does IMSA conduct any one-on-one parent teachers meeting?
So I don't think, okay, so first of all, and so we don't typically do things necessarily the way the public schools do. But the teachers are always available and open to meet with you if you need to with a student, depending on what the situation is. So absolutely feel free to email the teacher. We don't necessarily have a day when, unlike, with public schools, when everybody comes to the building and you go into classroom, that kind of thing. We don't necessarily have that. So, but on an ongoing basis, we have meetings, and my colleague, Ms. Berger, is always meeting with or are helping to arrange meetings as needed for parents.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Comfort.
No problem. What other questions do you all have?
Does anybody else have any questions for Dr. Comfort? Dr. Comfort, will you be with us for a little while on this call in case anybody?
Absolutely.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. So if you do, find that you do have questions for Dr. Comfort, Claudia Anderson, please put them in the chat and we will circle back to it later on in this meeting. So thank you again for your update.
No problem.
So let's go back to Jen Mock, our treasurer. Are you on the call, Jen?
Yeah, I am sorry for my tardiness. I don't have any updates for financials quite yet. I have my fingers in all the finances right now, and I should be posting October finances on the website soon. Taxes have been filed and we're just moving right along. So if anybody has a reimbursement request, if they will send that request to me at treasurer@imsapac.org, we will get you reimbursed in a timely manner. Thank you. Good to see everyone.
Thank you, Jen. So again, to reiterate what Jen said, if you do have any outstanding reimbursement requests, please also email her at treasurer@imsapac.org. And next we have Piyush Swain, the sophomore parent representative.
Thank you, Maria. Good morning, everybody. As Maria said, lovely morning out there. Sorry, I'm not in person, so I'll try to get the presentation from my remote home office. As you know, I'm responsible for that ensuring that all these sophomore parent questions and concerns are getting addressed to the best of our abilities. So for that, I had shared last time that we are going to have fortnightly meetings. So I'm very happy to announce that we have already done 4 meetings till now. We started sometime in September and we had 2 meetings in October. We had our first meeting in November and we had almost 100 participants. We had multiple guests coming in. We had Maria, we had Kat, we had Susan, we had Moju, we had Gabriela. So everybody had come in, they had answered questions, and we have many questions there. It ranges from student life to academics, dorms, CAC, health and safety, transportation. So we use that forum to ask all kind of questions internally. So I see Deepak has asked a question that which meetings are these? So Deepak, these meetings are for sophomore parents only, and I usually send those mails out. I usually send invites over emails. I have also used Facebook to post those meetings, so you can access those either ways if any of a child is in sophomore grade. Having said that, if there's any, so those are the standard meetings that we organize where we invite our guests. But if you have any question, you can also send it across to me at sophomore@imsapac.org. And I've also given the phone number there. So in case you find that the mail has not reached me, or if I have not responded, so you have my phone number as well. You could reach out to me on my phone as well. So having said that, we are very excited with the participation. We will continue with that. We are trying to see if we can bring in some new ideas into these meetings. Please stay tuned. I'll be sending follow-up meetings details as we go forward. Well, that's all from my end at this moment. I'll take a pause here to see if anybody has any questions, especially if any sophomore parents who have not been there in these meetings. I see Deepak has again asked a question, so let me answer his question. That are there others for other classes? So no, Deepak, we have not had these for other classes yet. We primarily kept it for sophomore parents because like all the sophomore kids are moving out of their home for the first time. So there was a need to have a stronger community feeling, and we as parents are also feeling left out with our kids not at home. So that was one place for us to share our things and see if everybody is having the same experience, or is there a way for us to get a better experience for the children who have gone out of home for the first time. So yeah, it's not there for senior classes yet. For junior classes, we are thinking about it. So I and Kat will get back to you on that.
Good morning. This is Kat. Good morning, everybody. I just wanted to chime in on that. Thanks, Piyush. Last year, those meetings were actually happening virtually, and this year, again, we have been thinking about reinstating them. I'd like to actually do it in November, but November is already here. It will most likely be on Thursday evenings from 8 to 9. So for those parents that took part last year, I will be sending out an email to the list of parents that were pretty active in that meeting, and then also to the rest of the class of 2023 parents to have that meeting, and then we'll create whether we decide to do it bi-monthly or just once a month. So feel free to email me at large@imsapac.org. Thank you.
I posted the ID here on the chat as well.
And definitely let us know in the chat as well if there are parents of seniors that would like to have meetings with senior parents as well.
That's
Thank
right.
you, Piyush and Kat.
And before the focus moves away from me, this lovely T-shirt, I got it because Brittany was kind enough to get that. So if at all you happen to come to the campus, then and for these meetings, then you will definitely get to see that. I thought I'll just give a 30 seconds promo for that. Back to you, Maria.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, so for any parents that are looking for some IMSA spirit wear, definitely get a hold of Brittany. She does have some inventory in stock. Thanks. Okay, next we're going to present some updates from committees. And first we have Senior Banquet Committee. So Nisha and Rhoda have been working hard at getting things ready for the class of 2022 families for the senior banquet. So parents of seniors, save the date for June 3rd, 2022. It's the night before graduation, and senior banquet, it will be the traditional senior banquet that has happened in years pre-pandemic. So it will be held at Embassy Suites in Naperville, and they do have the DJ secured, DJ Eris Pasho, and he has been the DJ for some events at IMSA as well. So they will be sending out the registration link soon. And they do need some assistance with the following: audio visual, creating a slideshow of the graduates, and also for marketing, creating invitations and programs. So if you are interested in helping out with either of those, they could really use the help. Please email them at seniorbanquet@imsapac.org. And do you have any questions regarding senior banquet? We do have some committee members here as well that might be able to help answer questions. Okay. Right. Well, feel free to email them if you do have any questions. And next we have Friday Fest. And we welcome Carrie Morgan, who will be giving the update.
Can everyone hear me? No. Oh, got it. Okay. All right, next slide, please. The Friday Fest would like to thank all of the families that donated treats for the kids. There was tons of food, and actually quite a few students had gone home, so there was an awful lot of leftovers, which was a good thing. We also wanted to thank the parents who came out. It ended up being pretty chilly, and they were real rock stars out there, standing out there for a couple hours to serve the kids. And a big thank you also to the student volunteers. They were amazing. Next slide, please. So both this slide and the next slide are just some pictures that the parent volunteers took. And we just wanted to let everybody know that the next Friday Fest will be held on January 21st. We're going to have 2 planning meetings before then. The next one will be on Tuesday at 7 o'clock, and then another one in December. The Zoom link is there, but if you're unable to capture that, go ahead and email us at fridayfest@imsapac.org. Thanks.
Next, we have updates from the Student Life Committee. Ellen and Susan.
Hello, everyone. Hi, good morning. I'm actually Ellen. Usually it's Susan to give you the updates, but she cannot make it this morning. So we have 2 updates. One's for the October. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is the October food drops to the curbside. Yeah, we have a big celebration for the Halloween. So there's a lot of food dropped off there, and because of the COVID restrictions, so all the food has to be individual packed. Okay, next one, please. So yeah, there's a lot of treats. Yeah, thank you for all the RCs and all the WIN parents. Yeah.
Thank you. And do we have any questions for Student Life right now?
And another one, I think one update is for November. So November many, I think, yes, sorry, I think Susan didn't give you the November one. Yeah, this is the RCs actually planned a lot of dinner events. Okay, so I think many WIN parents or many parents they received the email from RCs. So maybe if you can help, you can send like a donation food and some snacks and also monetary donations to RCs. Okay, thank you everyone. So if you have a question, you can ask. Yeah.
Thank you, Ellen, for giving us all these updates. And it looks like a lot of fun things are being done by the WIN parents.
Yeah, thanks. Mm-hmm.
And next we have Academic Committee, Moju and Gabriella.
Hi, good morning all. The only update we have is Moju and I, and with a group of parents, we put together some survey with some academic related questions. It's going to be sent out to the parents next week. Thank you.
So keep an eye out for your email with the survey link. Oh, sorry. Next, we have updates for Transportation Committee.
Maria, I don't believe anybody in the Zoom meeting heard any of the last updates. So if the folks in person wouldn't mind a rerun, I think it might be helpful to repeat those.
Thank you. Okay, so Multicultural Committee is headed up by Aaron and Alicia. So their updates include Diwali, which is the Indian Festival of Lights. Students did henna on Thursday, this past Thursday, and donations of the Mendi cones for the henna came from the Multicultural Committee. The student festival took place in the gym yesterday. And congratulations to the students in the ISA, Indian Students Association, for organizing that festival last night. So they'll post a link on Facebook for interested parents who want to view that performance. Also, they have a conversation with Dr. Adrian Coleman planned for Tuesday, December 7th regarding educational equity, why it's important, how we as parents support efforts to make IMSA a place where equity, justice, and inclusion flourish. So again, that's Tuesday, December 7th from 7 to 8:30 p.m. So if you'd like more information, please email Aaron at multicultural@imsapac.org. And next, we have updates from the Transportation Committee. That's Abhijit, Jill, and Kate. So Abhijit, Jill, or Kate, are you on the call to give updates? Okay. So the remaining bus service schedule for those taking the downstate bus is here.
Maria, I'm here. Sorry.
Perfect.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so Jill and Kate won't be able to join us today. But yeah, just a couple of quick updates. There is one update coming up here on the Thanksgiving, being a 23rd and 28th as a return. Since it's being a longer holiday schedule, there may be alternate testing procedures for the COVID testing. So be on the lookout. If you are or your student is riding the bus for Thanksgiving, there may be additional instructions sent to you through the nurse@imsa.edu. So be on the lookout for that email. The second update here is that, as you guys heard, Dr. Akwaji Anderson communicated earlier that the earlier January 9th return date has been moved to January 17th, and the bus schedule has been modified to show that. So what you see here as a date for the winter break return is the correct date. Those are the only couple of updates I had. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhijit. And if you have any questions for transportation, you can reach them at pacbus@imsapac.org. Okay. So we do have some committees that did not present updates this time around, but feel free to reach out to them if you have any questions. We have a Hospitality Committee, hospitality@imsapac.org, Technology Committee, tech team@imsapac.org, and regional representatives, region reps@imsapac.org. We do have the Technology Committee in here today, and they are the ones helping us run this hybrid meeting. So working hard for it. So thank you. Next, we have updates from Student Affairs, CAC, and faculty. So we will start off with Ms. Katie Berger, Chief Student Affairs Officer. Katie?
Good morning, everyone, and thank you to Maria and the PAC for inviting me to participate. I want to provide a series of updates for all of you, and as always, I'm going to try to multitask and drop a couple of links in the chat as I talk. You know, sometimes it goes better than other times. So the first link that I'm going to drop in for you is the most up-to-date version of our 12-month calendar, and that was actually posted just yesterday. Once the decision was made and the announcement was shared to transition Intersession to a virtual experience, there were a lot of questions about what that meant for the return to campus and the halls reopening in January. And there were a number of really elements that needed to be taken into consideration. So we're happy to share that now. I'm going to go through an overview of some of the changes and highlight some of the key information that isn't necessarily new information, but is worth noting. So if you're a visual person and you want to pull up that calendar, please use the link in the chat to do so. It's also available on IMSA's website. So this is not something new, but it is worth mentioning. Tuesday, November 23rd, the halls will close at 5 p.m. for Thanksgiving extended weekend. The halls will reopen on Sunday, November 28th at 3 p.m. We are going to ask students to kind of hang out low key on that Sunday night, because Monday morning, we are actually going to COVID test all of our staff and students upon return from that extended break for Thanksgiving. So classes will convene on Monday, the 29th with a modified class schedule, specifically a 10 a.m. class start. All staff and students are asked to be tested on Monday morning before classes begin. So we are going to do testing from 7 a.m. to 9:30 a.m., which means we're going to have a lot of people testing, and we're really going to need the cooperation of our students and our staff to be there as early as they can and kind of get through that process. If you plan to return on Monday morning, bring your student back on Monday morning, please return them to campus by 8 a.m. the same way you would for any other Monday morning, as if classes were starting at 8 a.m. The reason we're delaying the start of class is really to allow everyone to get tested. So again, if you plan to return Monday morning, no problem, but please do so by 8 a.m. to allow classes to begin on time. Students will be issued a little ticket that says that they've been tested, that they'll have to present at their first class to show that they're kind of cleared to be in class. So again, please note those testing processes. Looking ahead to December, finals will take place December 20th, 21st, and 22nd. Our practice is that we ask students to depart within 24 hours of your last final. If that presents an issue for you or your family, just let the RC know. All of our students checking out for winter break will need to check out with their RC. And so typically the RCs will ask you to schedule a time, because we have people leaving at all different times over the course of those 3 days. And that helps the RCs kind of manage their own calendars and schedules. The downstate bus will leave December 22nd at 2:30. If your last final is more than 24 hours before that downstate bus departure time, you don't need to let anybody know. We know you're taking the downstate bus, so you're totally fine to stay until the downstate bus departs. The halls do close on the 22nd of December at 5 p.m. for winter break. So now looking ahead to January, which is probably the part that most people are interested in. As you know from my colleague, Dr. Akwaji Anderson, intersession will be held virtually. As a side note, for our student affairs team, we are going to use that time where we are all reporting to work and our students are engaged in virtual learning through intersession to really do a lot of training and inventory and things that are really important to our team, but often challenging to fit in. And so really want to let you know that our team is going to be even more prepared to welcome your students back when they come back following intersession. So intersession is required for all students. It'll be held January 10th through the 14th. I'm sure Dr. Akwaji Anderson can answer any follow-up questions about intersession that you may have. The halls will reopen on Monday, January 17th at 3 p.m. Okay, Monday, January 17th at 3 p.m. There was a lot of flux because originally they were opening January 9th. Then they were going to open maybe on the 17th, then maybe the 16th, then the 17th. The final decision is that they will open on Monday, January 17th at 3 p.m. And we know that you've been waiting for that final decision, so please go ahead and mark your calendars. I also want to say a special thank you to the PAC bus committee. So Jill, Abhijit, Kate, thank you for your communication and flexibility as we kind of work through those details. They have been able to modify that January return bus trip to that day, that Monday. So thank you for that. We will plan to COVID test in conjunction with the January return. We are not going to release those details just quite yet. I'm going to be honest with you. We want to see how everything goes on the morning of November 29th. And if things go well with that plan, we may look at something very similar for January. So in December, we'll share a little bit more about that testing process in return for January. I can see that there are little like bubbles popping up in the chat. I'm going to just go through everything and then I'll hop into the chat and address any questions, or Dr. Akwaji Anderson, if there are questions that you can address, feel free to do so. The last thing that I'm going to mention about the calendar before I move on, there is one major event date that is still being finalized. And this, I'm going to be honest, is probably more critical for your students and maybe less critical for you as parents, but that date is Clash. So if you look ahead to March, you'll notice that Clash of the Halls is currently scheduled for the last week of the third quarter. That's not really ideal for anybody, our students, our faculty, our staff. And so our operations coordinators, which represent staff and faculty from all different departments around campus, are actually going to be meeting about that over the next 2 weeks to really finalize the time frame for that, with input from some of our students. So hang tight on that final decision, and we will share that soon. I'm going to transition into some updates from our health office. As hopefully many of you know, we were able to offer a flu vaccine clinic, and we had 299 people vaccinated on campus, students, staff, and faculty. So we were really grateful to our partner, the VNA, that was able to come on site and actually get that vaccination done for anybody who was interested in receiving it quickly and easily. And we know with students living near and far that being able to offer these things on campus is a really critical service. And we're glad that we were able to do that. This week, we also had the first of 3 COVID vaccine clinics. We had 90 people receive either their first, second, or booster vaccine. We did experience some absences on Thursday as a result of people experiencing some symptoms, which is somewhat common following a second dose and a booster dose, but even after a first dose. The next 2 dates that we have, I believe one is a Tuesday and one is a Friday. So if you have a student who is interested in receiving a COVID vaccine on campus, again, we want to make things as easy as possible for our students to have access if they want to. Just know that they may have some symptoms, and so kind of plan accordingly for what works best for their schedule. The VNA has limited availability, and so we sort of take what we can get and negotiate the best dates that we possibly can, but we know that it's not always the most ideal, and so work with your student to plan accordingly. We continue to do weekly COVID testing, and we'll continue to update the dashboard on the website to be really transparent about what our COVID rates are. We've been really, really happy and really proud of what the results have been, which have been 0 many weeks and low numbers the other weeks. We continue to work with, honestly, a variety of partners to make testing happen each week on Thursday. Shield, Waubonsie Community College nursing students who are coming in to assist us, and IMSA staff. Students are always a little shocked when they walk in and they're like, "Oh, Katie, you're doing this today?" "Yep, doing this today." Some of them doesn't even faze them anymore, but they've gotten to know a lot of us in different and more close ways, because we're all hands on deck to really make sure that we're getting our testing done. When it comes to the social, emotional health and wellness of our students, we continue to just be cognizant of the fact that COVID is still impacting the student experience of our students. It's still impacting the daily lives of our staff, and it's certainly impacting the practices and how we execute programs and events. It's impacting our staffing and our food service and really everything. As most of you hopefully know, we were able to conduct a universal wellness screening with our students back in September and October. And while we have not fully had the statistician go through all of the data for us, we do have some kind of high-level key findings that I wanted to share. And really what we are seeing compared to March of 2020 as sort of our baseline data to now is that we are seeing students who are either experiencing slightly or significantly worse depression, slightly or significantly worse anxiety, and students who are struggling a little bit more with their attention in class. And so this is really important and critical baseline data that informs not only Dr. Kwajin Anderson and myself, but all of our colleagues and how we're working with students. I believe I had shared with some of you early on in the academic year a lot of the statistics around the physical and mental health impacts of COVID. And we are seeing a lot more students in the health office for medication. We're seeing a lot more students engaging with outside counselors and using our counseling services at IMSA, reaching out for more academic support. And that's what we want to see happening. And we will continue to modify our programming and bring in new resources to address that. We've been able to do some training with colleagues in all different departments. We had Dr. Twyla, who is an IMSA alum, come in and do training on trauma responsiveness with our faculty, for example. So lots happening there, but it's something to acknowledge. And for you as parents, as you're navigating parenting from afar, kind of, how are you supporting the social, emotional health and wellness of your student? And when in doubt, reach out to the RC, reach out to a school counselor, and let us know how we can jump in and intervene and provide some support. Maria did, and this will be it. I know I always get long because I could talk for forever. There's always so much to share. Maria did alert me to some comments on the PAC Facebook page regarding food service. So I wanted to take a few minutes to just share some high-level updates on food service. As hopefully you all know, IMSA contracts with Lexington Independence. So as a state agency, we need to follow all of the state required processes and guidelines we're required to. And so we did have students and parents kind of engage in that process a couple of years ago. So while we're in year 2 of a contract, it's sort of like year 1. Lexington continues to struggle with many of the things mentioned when Donato joined this meeting 2 months ago. Supply chain issues. So for example, I received an update from a staff member the other day that this entree, they ran out of this entree and then something else was put out. And upon kind of follow up with the chef to say, what happened here? The delivery was late and then the delivery didn't include everything that it needed to include. And so on the fly, they're literally changing the menu like hours before food is to be served because the deliveries are showing up late. The deliveries are showing up without items that were supposed to be delivered, which is a challenge. Continue to be labor shortage issues. They have increased the pay pretty significantly to attract more employees and to be kind of an employer of choice, and increase food product and disposable costs is something that as a company, they're kind of needing to navigate. There have been a lot of challenges. I have seen good feedback. I've seen not so good feedback. And then I've seen things that are somewhere in the middle. I am now meeting weekly with the vice president and the district manager, in addition to weekly meetings with the food service director, to stay a little bit even more so engaged in what's happening and making sure that they are engaged at a very high level in what's happening at IMSA. We are transitioning to a new food service director, so we will have some new increased support and expertise on site. So Sophia Quirk, who many of you have met, is no longer going to be working with us at IMSA. And we have a woman named Amy Guzman, who is starting on Monday. And the district manager will be on site Monday to assist with some of that training. I would really ask, as you are hearing information from your students about their food service experience, please use this link to share that feedback. You as a parent can use that link, your student can use that link. And the reason that I want you to use this link for the not so good things, for the concerning things, for the questions, for the compliments, I mean, really for anything, is because this information goes to a variety of people. So if you send an email or make a phone call directly to a Lexington employee, that Lexington employee has that information, but on the IMSA side, we don't get that information. If you send something to me, I'm going to send it to them, so they'll get it. But this is really the best way to encapsulate that information in one place and ensure it goes to all the right people, including the Vice President, Greg Rich, who has been engaged. So please do that. What I have told the Student Food Service Committee as well is if there is a challenge or an issue on that day, in that moment, go and say something to the chef or to the food service manager, or come to Student Life and tell Minerva or I. I'm sometimes hard to track down because I have too many meetings, but Minerva is pretty much always there and she'll get me that information right away. It's most helpful for us to be able to address things in the moment, and it's most helpful for us to have specific examples of things that are not meeting the needs of our students, as opposed to kind of more generalized feedback. So my ask of all of you is really to use this link and ask your students to use this link as well. The students have shared with me that at times the lines get really long, and the food service committee knows my answer to this question or this challenge, and they always kind of laugh about it, but then they roll their eyes and say, yeah, we know but I'm not sure our peers are going to do that, Katie. The real challenge that we have is that people are not, we're not spacing out when we're eating. So everybody wants to eat all at the same time. We have an 1.5-hour block in the middle of the day for lunch. And the large majority of our students go right at the beginning of that block. And so if we can encourage our students to kind of space out or follow the time that's listed on their schedule, that really helps in making sure that the lines aren't long and the food is available hot and ready for students. It does become more of a challenge when everybody goes all at once. I've heard some comments that students, from parents, not from students, but from parents, that their students don't have enough time to eat. If that is the case, I would encourage your student to sit down with their RC, sit down with their Titan crew leader, come talk to myself or someone in the principal's office, and let's look at your schedule. Every student there's that 1.5-hour block in the middle of the day. Students have Titan crew during that block on some days. Titan crew, it's a 30-minute commitment. There should be at least an hour that the students have some flexibility in how they're spending that time, that they are able to go get lunch. So we can sit down and talk through what is being, what business is being conducted, what meetings during that time. So we can talk about rearranging and making some choice to ensure everyone has time to eat, because that is a really important, critical thing. Congratulations to all of our students who were involved in the Diwali show last night. The bleachers were full. The Zoom recording had over 150 people participating in it, and the recording will be sent out soon. So again, thank you. I will be here for a while, so feel free to send chats with questions and I'll respond to them as best I can in writing.
Yep. I'm going to jump in real quick. I noticed 2 questions in the chat that I think will be important to answer right away. One of them has to do with the final exam schedule. We literally just got that finalized yesterday. And so it's going to be posted on Monday, and an email with information details will be sent to our community next week also. So be on the lookout for that. I'm going to go back to the intercession because I see some comments about us doing the intercession virtually. It was based on 2 reasons. One, feedback from you all and community from last year. Folks thought it went really well, and they thought it would be a good idea to do it virtually. So we listened to that, and that's why we planned on doing that. And of course, that was communicated to you all earlier, also before we actually sent out all the information about intercession. Secondly, as my colleague, Ms. Berger mentioned, once we got that feedback and we agreed we were going to do it virtually, we were excited because it gave us an opportunity to provide some additional professional development and preparation for our residential staff as they prepare to, to receive our students who are coming back from break. So I just wanted to make sure that I address those 2 things. If there's any other question, please let us know.
I guess my interpretation of some of the questions is I noticed they both came from senior parents who have had the experience of what it was like in person and feel like the experience remote and virtual last year was not the same in the quality. Is there anything that you are doing to make sure that the virtual experience is better or different than it was last year to address those parents' concerns?
I'm not sure what you mean by that, Kyle. If there was something that was not done last year that you would like to see, let us know. We have the feedback. We send the feedback input to everyone. So parents, students, the community. So that's the data we looked at. So if there's specific things that you all are looking for, let me know what those were. The proposal, the call for proposals is still out there. We extended it until Sunday. The one thing that I know that has not happened for obvious reasons is we're not sending students overseas. And I know that I was told, that some parents were actually hoping that that would happen because that's a senior trip that they save to support their student. But again, because of COVID, we couldn't do that. So again, send me if there's some specific things that you all wanted to see happening that did not happen, please make sure that you share that with us. Thank you.
Dr. Comfort, thank you for taking the time to address this. I actually am a parent of a junior, and I understand the feedback was probably collected. I think having heard the voices of the junior parents both last year and this year, some of it is that they didn't know what they didn't know because they were new on campus or
Okay.
virtual home. But in regard to intercession, is there a way that we can actually revisit this? Because I think a lot of the parents, at least speaking, not collectively and with any stats, have been under the impression possibly that it was a COVID concern. So have been meetings, and some of the parents have actually even mentioned, we've discussed possibly moving it to March or to a different time when they can actually have in person. Is that something that parents, we can revisit it, I guess, at this point,
What I
given
would
the
say to you
concerns that
is,
various parents are having?
what I can say to you right now is we have those plans in place and we're going to move on with those. However, I'm open to feedback for what happens next year.
How can we collect that or be a part of that? Should we individually, in other words, should the sophomore rep and the junior rep and maybe possibly coordinate for a senior rep to go ahead and do that within each class parent group? Or how would you suggest that we can facilitate that?
So in the past, we sent out the survey to everyone. So one, making sure that everyone gets that information. And secondly, let's think about if there's additional some ways that we can get that information. But I would just encourage everyone to make sure that when we send the survey out, that you provide the feedback. I can make sure that you all know when that feedback is going out so that you can go ahead and share your thoughts with that, because it goes to everybody. Would that be helpful?
That would be, thank you. In the meantime, can you also share the feedback that was collected to get to the decision that we have for this year, which I appreciate. I just would like to know how large the feedback survey was in terms
Okay,
of responses.
So for what purpose would you need that?
So that we can go out and tell the parents of each group, for example, that there wasn't a high enough response, or there was too high of a response, or for those that really are interested in knowing, this is why the decision was made, for those that may necessarily not agree with that, or those that do. Sometimes survey results end up being 5% of the population or 10.
Okay, so what I would offer,
I just don't know how good our parents are about responding, I guess, just because I'm a parent that I have been guilty of not necessarily responding in time. That's why.
Yeah. So what I would offer is, I'll offer to I usually meet with the academic PAC committee. So I can talk with them about that information, and I would invite our Dean of Student Support. He oversees the intercession program and that data. So I'll be more than happy to, for us to meet with that group and look at that data for sure.
That's wonderful. Thanks. And thanks to Gabi and Moju who are on that committee. I appreciate your time, Dr. Comfort. Thanks.
No problem. Thank
Do
you.
you mind if I add something? I don't think it's a secret to anyone, and it's not something that we probably talk about all the time. We, just like our food service provider, we are in a situation where we have experienced some labor shortage issues as well. And I know that all of you are aware of the fact that we are understaffed when it comes to our resident counselors. Many of you may know that we're understaffed and in other departments as well, facilities. We are going to be posting a couple more security positions. We're looking to increase the number of nurses that we have because we have more, there's more that we want to do, and that requires additional staff. And so having a week to onboard some new resident counselors, fingers crossed, and send us some good applicants, is a benefit, and to do some ongoing training with our new resident counselors, that some of them have started partway into the academic year and didn't have as robust of a training experience and are really training as they go. There are going to be some opportunities that I know are going to really benefit your students that can occur that week, that we have now the ability to do that. at a time when all of our employees are working. And again, I hear you that this is not the intercession experience that you were wanting and that you were hoping for. And I do want to let you know that as much as possible, we're always trying to make the lemonade out of the lemons. And that time is really going to be used to be able to do some things that right now are really critical to the experience of our students and then being able to have a really amazing second semester. And I just want to mention that to all of you. I know it doesn't change the fact that you don't love doing intercession virtually, and there will be some benefit to your students. And I hope you can understand that there are some very real challenges right now for us as an academy, as for all schools across our country, that just aren't typically challenges that we face in any given school year.
Thank you so much for that. I totally appreciate everybody's perspective. And I guess it's just given the fact that, again, what you said about the mental health update, I feel personally that I understand the decision and I accept it. And I guess I would just say, is there a possibility for us for next year to even consider permanently looking at both virtual and in person? Because of course, there are always different opportunities that work for different people. And for those kids that may just feel too distanced or too separated, or those kids that, you know, want to take advantage of a virtual environment, maybe the ideal would be to have a combination so that those professors want to be in person can be, and those that want to be virtual can be as well. That's it. So I appreciate the time that you took to explain it.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that, you know, again, I'll be more than happy to work with, especially the PAC, the academic PAC committee, so that we can look at the feedback that we get and make sure that we plan in a way that incorporates that feedback. We will definitely do that. Like I said, we'll make sure when it's sent out, we'll make sure that you get reminders so that you can provide the input, and then we'll look at what we need to do. And again, we appreciate your understanding, because we're doing the best that we can to support all of our students. And so Ms. Bergen and I are always working on what can we do to ensure that we support our students. So thank you so much for your understanding and your partnership with us.
And thank you for your understanding and also the partnership. So I appreciate it. Thanks for being an advocate for our kids and our community. Thanks.
I guess a couple of the questions from parents still are just clarifying, this is still going to be mandatory. There's no way that, given it is remote, that it could be optional and or a sort of independent study type structure so that students would not have to be on Zoom for those days.
So I'm just going to be very straightforward. For this year, no, but for next year, I'm more than happy and open to us looking at those different possibilities. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Katie Berger, a question for you that I've gotten a couple in the last 24 hours about, asking whether for this upcoming Thanksgiving break, there will be any adjustments or to the pickup procedure that parents will be using for picking up their students.
It's having an issue unmuting. So Erin Ryan, who's our director of residence life, is going to be sending out a communication, I believe this week, regarding extended checkout. We did some kind of focus groups before the last extended checkout. We have gotten some anecdotal feedback from parents, from our staff, and we are going to follow a process that is very similar, not exactly the same, but very similar to what we did in October, which is really try to make it easy for you all to be able to kind of walk your student out and wave and see you off, as opposed to having you try to run into a building or multiple buildings. That is actually one thing that I forgot to mention. It's not addressing your question, so my apologies, but it made me think that I know it has been I'll say headache, that's not the word that you all have used, a headache, to go to the main building and check in with security and then go to the residence hall to check out your students. Security now has the parent credentials ready to go. So hopefully those of you who are on site today can get your picture taken and be issued your IMSA credential. It looks very similar to the student ID. Once you have that, you do not have to check in with security when you come to check out your student. You just need to wear or have visible that ID badge to check out your student. That links you to your student. It lets our security and residence life team, everybody know that you're approved to be in the building and you're approved to take that student with you. So please make sure next time you're on campus, allow maybe 5 extra minutes to get your picture taken and get that credential that you can use. And then you can skip coming to the main building when you check your student out. There's one more question, if you all don't mind, since I'm already unmuted. Could you please address it? Yes, so the question in the chat that I'm seeing is about the food options in the cafeteria lately, that there's some feedback that recent choices available due to food supply, food chain supply. Yes, I would say the word that I would use to describe what I see in the cafeteria, this is my experience and what students tell me, because I actually meet with a group of about 15 students weekly, except for this week, we didn't meet this week. And I would say the word is inconsistent. So I think when the orders come in and we get everything that we're supposed to get, there is a lot of variety and a lot of choice, and our students are happy. And I think when we don't get what we're supposed to receive in those orders, or the order is delayed, then students have less choices and they're less happy with those choices. Again, the biggest feedback that I would give to all of you, and my biggest request, is please ask your students if there is something that is not meeting their needs, please use that link and send us that feedback that day, or, you know, within a day or two, to be able to say, on Wednesday, I went to lunch and this is my experience, because I sit down every week with the food service director. Right now we have an interim food service director. And we talk about the menu, we talk about the last week, we talk about what's going on the week before, we talk about the fact that, hey, at lunch on Tuesday, you had chicken in the grill line and you had chicken in the entree line, and the students are like, no more chicken. That was something that we talked about in the food service committee. We want to see more variety in the meat option. So that feedback is really helpful. Sometimes it can be challenging. I'm just being really honest, especially because now I'm also working with the district manager and with the vice president. If there aren't specific details that I can share, specific days, specific what is missing, what is running out, what isn't available, it can be challenging for them to really understand what's happening in the day-to-day. And I'm spending a lot of time working with a lot of people in this company and really advocating for IMSA and for our students. And I'm not able to eat all the meals in the cafeteria every day. So we really, really, really rely on that feedback.
Thank you, Katie. Just one thing, you talked about students going to lunch on time, and that would help with the lines. But we have been getting reports that students are going early because if they wait for a later lunchtime, the food supply is further reduced because they run out.
Well, it's a chicken and egg thing, right? Because there's a commitment from one of the things that was a complaint about our previous food service provider was that they made all the food and then it all sat in warmers. And if you came at the end, it was like it had been sitting in a warmer for 3 hours and it was like, ew, gross, we don't want to eat that. So they're prioritizing doing small batch cooking based on that feedback. And if we are expecting people to be spaced out and they cook small batches spaced out, but then everybody comes at the beginning, then you're right, there isn't food when they show up because the food isn't ready because people aren't spaced out. And so I think that there are some challenges associated with that, and we have to find that right fit. There are days where everybody wants, you know, the chicken Parmesan, and they didn't anticipate that everybody would want the chicken Parmesan because they're also offering the seasoned tofu that everybody really likes. And they thought maybe a lot of people would go for that. So some of it too is just getting to know our community and kind of what items sell, if you will, and which items don't. You know, Lexington, I will say, they want to do a good job, and they've made a lot of changes to staff, to leadership, to demonstrate that they want to be a good partner to us. And I think that we also need our students to be fueled and ready for their days. And so we're going to continue to go through growing pains. There if you talk to any college, any high school, we are not the only people that are experiencing issues with supply chain with food, that are experiencing hiring issues when it comes to food service workers, unfortunately. And I don't know if any of you work in schools and can attest to this. It's not something that's unique to IMSA. And it's really critical to IMSA because our students eat all of their meals, in theory, in the cafeteria. And so that's why it has become something that is such a priority. I mean, Dr. Quashing Anderson, excuse me, can attest that Monday we have a meeting with President Glazer and our cabinet to talk about nothing other than food service and our contract and all things related to food service, which is not typical, but it's such a priority right now for us. And it's really an area of focus. So please know that. And again, please, we cannot control the supply chain with food. We cannot control when deliveries get canceled or when they're delayed or when they're late. That is something that is out of IMSA's control and it's out of Lexington's control. And we're doing the best we can. And Lexington is to right fit it. And I love the idea of a community garden, Jen. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to be quiet, really, truly. Just email me or chat me questions because I know you got to move on.
Katie, really quickly before you stop talking, I have one more quick question, two actually. I know that with the food challenges and also with the fact that a lot of our students realistically, we have to accept they just stay up later than usual. We talked in the past about the fact that they get hungry again. Would you ever be open to considering something like, sorry, a snack shack or like a parent pantry where there's donations and food items that are, so can we, okay, I just didn't know as long as
so
they're not
there's a couple
scaring
of
you.
parents that are interested in something like that. And I would love to invite you to one of our student food service committee meetings. Right now we meet every Thursday at 4:30, but the time isn't working super well. So we're probably going to reschedule. But I would love to invite a couple parents to our student food service committee meeting and maybe talk through something like that. That'd be great.
Cool, thank you.
Hey, I want to chime in about the idea of a community garden. I think that that's excellent because we, being a learning laboratory, having a community garden, there'll be so many, science related lessons or STEM related lessons that we could actually help students learn through doing that. So I just wanted to chime in quick.
Wonderful, thank you. Real quick, if one of you could answer, there's one question in the chat regarding the COVID-19 booster. They were just wondering, since some of the students are under 18, if they still qualify for that COVID-19 booster shot.
Oh man, I don't know. Let me see if I can get you an answer before the end of the meeting. I'll text Angie and get back to you, but oof, you know me, I don't like to quote that stuff because I don't want to be wrong. So
I was going to say
let me
the
see if I
same
can get you
thing.
an answer.
Yes.
Okay, so according to one of the parents here, the email from Nurse Angie did indicate that the kids here are eligible, even if they're under 18 with parent consent. Okay. So if you follow that link, it'll give the forms.
I see one more thing about the mailroom. Can I address it real quick? So we are actually going to install those boxes like you see, I don't have the words to describe this appropriately. Those boxes like you see outside sometimes for package pickup. We're going to install those outside for our students. So if you get a notification that you have a package, it's like, come get your package. And then if you're not able to go when the mailroom is open, your package will be placed in one of the package lockers that is available to our students at off times when the mailroom isn't open. You'll get a one-time use code. You go punch in your code, grab your package, and you're good to go. So we are actually looking at a means to address the mailroom package pickup challenge. We are getting so many packages that we are spending more time processing packages, which is totally fine. And that is really a great way for us to ensure that we still have the ability to do all of the other things that need to happen in conjunction with the mailroom outside of physically being there for package pickup, and giving our students even more flexibility to get their packages outside of business hours. So look out for that really soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Katie, for those updates. And if you have any more questions for her, Katie, if you could just put your email in the chat box and feel free to reach out to Katie. with that. And next, I'd like to introduce Miss Yulia Houston from the CAC office. So let's. If you want.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm just so happy to be in person here, giving you an update on our CAC work. I have really 3 quick slides. And on the first one, you will see the upcoming webinars. There's really only 2 of them in November and then 1 in December. The one I'm offering, or the 2 of them I'm offering, the first one will be on Tuesday, and it's for all junior and sophomore parents. And the December one will be for junior parents only. So the past webinars are posted on the CAC website. Make sure that you check them out if you did not have a chance to participate live. As I mentioned before, the CAC newsletter is posted on IMSA CAC website in case you missed it in your inbox. So make sure that you also check that out. Next slide will be all about meetings. And we have, first of all, I would like to give you an update on our AP registration process. And I compare the numbers from last year to this year so you can see the difference. And the difference is not that great. We do anticipate all APs to be offered live this year. We haven't received any information contradicting that from the College Board. So most likely APs will run this year the way they always ran pre-COVID during first 2 weeks of May. That's from May 2nd through May 13th. I want to remind everybody again, there's no refunds. Should any of your students cancel APs at this point, I purchased APs already. We paid for them, so there's no more refunds. The senior class meeting will be our last senior class meeting on December 1st. As I mentioned before in the last month PAC meeting, we meet with our seniors 3 times in the fall to make sure that everybody stays on track. And parents are not invited to those meetings because those are just the quick meetings after school. However, I do send out the notes from the meeting. So make sure that you, if you're a parent of a senior, you read those notes and know exactly what we talked about at the senior meeting. The sophomore meeting is really super important. It's coming up on Wednesday. And this is when we will register all of our sophomores to use Naviance. And shortly after, I want to say probably on Thursday or on Friday, I will turn around and I will send registration codes to all sophomore parents. So then sophomore parents also will be able to register on Naviance and start using Naviance to navigate the college process. But the college process is not coming until next year. So I want everybody to relax a little bit if you're a parent of a sophomore. And then the very final slide, I want to give you kind of an overview of our senior class. So and I compared the previous year to this year. And if you remember the number, here's a little quiz for all the senior parents out there. What's the size of the senior class? If any of you are sitting here, shout out the number. What's the size of the senior class? This year's senior class? 100? Not quite, but it's 199. So we have 199 in our senior class. And guess what? We have 199 in our last year's senior class. So this year is really kind of a cool for me to compare the 2 classes because the sizes are the same. So as you can see, so this numbers that you're looking for the class of 2022 are preliminary numbers. They're not final. The numbers for the class of 2021 clearly are final. So this is what happened. The reason why the numbers for class of 2022 are preliminary, because this is what our students are telling us at this point. However, many of them will not follow up, and many of them will not apply to the colleges they're telling us to apply. So the number for the class of 2022 clearly will change. Right now, numbers look pretty much similar. As you can see, the early action, the restrictive early action, the number is a little bit down this year from last year, but the early decision students are pretty much neck and neck. I want to explain a little bit what 1 and 2 means. So there's an early decision 1 due date of November 1. And this is when students apply. And if a student is admitted on December 10th, that means student must attend that college. However, same colleges also practice what is called early decision 2 round, which is usually due on December 1. And so it is kind of a cute right now to see that in the class of 2022, we had 43 students who actually applied to early decision 1 school, and they submitted an application. And 7 of them are already predicting they're not going to be admitted. So they're already telling us, well, I'm going to apply to another school at early decision 2. So just kind of a cute, you know, whereas the numbers for the 2021 are real numbers. So we have 39 students who applied to early decision 1 school. And then clearly some of them were not admitted. So they quickly jumped the ship. And then 16 of them applied to an early decision 2 school.
So they just wanted to explain a little bit there. Those of you senior parents whose students did apply by any kind of an early due date of November 1, can be an early action, early decision, restrictive early action, or just a priority due date of November, right around November 1. All decisions from November 1 will come out between December 6th and December 17th, with one exception. And unfortunately, that exception is the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Right before COVID, they changed their policy. It used to be if you apply by November 1, you always heard on December usually was December 7th, which was really cool because then all of our students knew they were admitted. So everybody went home to celebrate, or, you know, to tell their parents and to tell their relatives for the right around holiday times. Well, they just so overwhelmed with number of applications. So they postponed now the notification decision to February. So even though all of our students apply to UI by October 1, remember internal due date for IMSA students is October 1. Unfortunately, we will hear from UIUC in February, first week of February, not in December. So that's all I have to say. If anybody has any questions, absolutely. Well, I can, however, the webinar, the webinar that I will offer, college admission 101 for junior parents, I will go into great depth explaining that. So I can do that. So if it's a parent of a junior, then clearly I will talk about it at length in December. Okay.
So the early action numbers that you give, that's including University of Illinois Champaign?
So yes, so this is all, or yes, so it's anything under November 1 priority or early action. Yes. Yeah.
Then is there a way for students that have registered for a non-STEM AP to get to know the names of other students that have registered that are at IMSA so they can form study groups?
So the study group should not be formed by students. So the way the AP functions and the way that we write our letter that we send to our parents and students is that a student needs to have a conversation with the teacher to see whether or not student is even prepared, whether or not teacher even covers any kind of a AP material. So if you are in, I don't know, I mean, political theory, and if you would like to take European history or whatever, so I mean, you can self-study clearly, but I think it's just, I believe it's going to be more work. So we don't advocate for self-studying. So therefore, we don't advocate for a student to take an AP exam where he learned nothing at IMSA because the class was not offered. And now he's going to commit all this time and effort to studying for some AP exam, which results probably are not going to play a big role. So I can come up probably with with a list of students, but we strongly advocate against that. We don't want them to study for IMSA and the AP exams where they are getting prepped in the class, and then only to go to dormitory and study for AP psychology or AP human geography or AP European history. It perpetuates that kind of a cycle of constantly studying for an exam, which I don't think is healthy.
For an AP exam but does not take it, is that reflected in the College Board transcript?
So there's no College Board transcript. So when it comes to AP exams, they function just like SAT exams or ACT exams. A student will choose to send AP scores of exam results in August of the student's freshman year in college. So if a student did not take an AP exam, there will be no score to send. If a student got a 2, student does not need to send that score. It's a student's choice of sending AP scores. And AP exams, by the way, are not tied into the SAT. So when a student sends, let's say a student is a junior and a student is, or a senior, let's say in the fall of senior year. So student, let's say, took 2 AP exams as a junior, got 2 2s. Let's just pretend for a second in human geography and psychology. Let's pretend for a second. And then also student took SATs, and now student is taking SAT exam results to the university the student is applying. The AP exam results will not be attached to the SAT score. It's a completely separate test score that a student must request and pay separately for it. So AP exam results are last forever in space unless a student goes to the College Board and specifically requests AP exam results to be sent to a particular college. And it usually happens in August of their freshman year in college.
I believe you mentioned at the last meeting, the parents asking if you could repeat how many students applied to University of Illinois Champaign-Urbana.
Boy, yes, I don't have it here. So I believe our number is 167, I believe, out of 199. I think that's our last number. That was my last count. I believe so.
Julia,
Absolutely, Gabby.
I have a quick question. Would it ever be helpful to parents behind the scenes within PAC or even just separately?
It doesn't show anywhere. There's no penalty. It doesn't show anywhere. Nope.
No, I have a
nope,
quick
it
question.
doesn't show and it's
on-
not recorded anywhere. So not
Would
showing
it-
up for any exams is not considered a penalty against the student. Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
just lose your money, unfortunately, but there's no penalty of any sort. Any other ones?
I was just going to ask if it might be helpful
right.
for parents to gather and.
Thank you. Okay,
or-
well, thank you very, very much. I'll see you in December then. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Okay.
Right, next we have Dr. Michael Hancock, IMSA Faculty English Department. Dr. Hancock, are you on the call? Okay. So if Dr. Hancock joins us in the next few minutes, we'll definitely hop back to him. Okay, just wanted to remind everybody now that it's starting to get a little bit chilly out there, we do have a Cravings and Comfort Food cookbook that was produced in conjunction with our Friday Fest and Student Life Committees last year. It's got a lot of recipes in there, so definitely something worth looking at, and it's a free gift to you. So our next PAC meeting is on Saturday, December 11th, and we plan to have it hybrid like today. So if you're able to join us here at IMSA, we'll be in the N2 space, and we will also be doing this as well over Zoom. And these are the upcoming events. And as I mentioned, we'll be sending out a link to our updated website soon. And the great capability of that website is that you'll be able to see a lot of the PAC events, but also some of the events that are going on at IMSA in one calendar there. Okay, and then we have the information of Board of Trustees meetings. The next one is on Wednesday, November 17th. And our Facebook group, if you're not a part of it, you can scan the QR code here. Okay. And the email address to use to find if you have any questions. So if you have any questions after tonight or today's meeting that have not been answered, or you happen to think of one, email us at info@imsapac.org, or you can obviously email the other people directly if you have those email addresses. But if you email us, we'll make sure to get it to the appropriate people that can answer your questions. And lastly, just wanted to know if there were any other questions before we end the call. Okay. Well, thank you again for joining us. Thanks for those who are here with us in person, and for all of you out there via Zoom. Thanks again, and hopefully we'll see you in December. Thank you.